has been giving dates after dates of relocation. Why so many dates are coming? I mean, from Feb to July, now in November again. I wonder if it will also happen in November, really. What is taking the government so much of time?
14, it was in March. So the law, if you look at the law, and we can talk about the law also, it is a very good law.
Okay.
You know, it is a very good law. It's a very pro-livelihood law. It's also very, it talks about regulation, right? But what did the government of Meghalaya do? They did, because the law was made under concurrent list. So basically, if you have two laws, state law and central law, the central law gets precedence over it. Now, what happened was that since you already had a central law, why did you bring a state law?
I am, with due respect again to Barkhan here, I think I have a lot to say about the government.
Government, exactly.
Because the government here is what we look up to. We choose our representatives so that they would answer to the difficulties that we may face. But these, I've been writing, I think, since 2012 or 2010. It's going to be 15 years. All that we are seeing are discussions after discussions and nothing.
There is only our organization, Shillong Roadside organization. We start in the year 1990. Again, we registered in 2000. There, at that time, most of our workers, vendor, most of them they are in the veranda or the shop.
So it is totally blocked, that area.
I understand that. I think we are all aware that prior to the litigation that happened and the High Court, the Honorable High Court of Meghalaya, prior to that, there has been quite a number of evictions, and that's what we have come to that conflict because of those evictions that happened earlier in the past. Even first with the Shillong Roadside Hawkers Association, and then with the Progressive Hawkers Association. So the litigation also arose because of that, because we were trying to regulate.
Hello dear viewers, welcome back once again to another edition of Let's Talk, a presentation by the Shillong Times Group. Well, today the topic that we have taken up is there a way out to the burgeoning problem of hawkers? Well, Shillong has grown by leaps and bounds over the years. Well, not only in terms of its population or traffic or in the number of shops that we see around, but what is happening is that the town is growing, the people are growing, the traffic is growing, but the roads have remained the same. Over and above that, there has been a large number of hawkers that has occupied almost every commercial roadside areas and corners of roads, making it extremely difficult for the common people and dangerous too, especially for the senior citizens, for school children, and even for the differently abled population of the city that has to maneuver themselves in between the traffic that moves in the road and, of course, the hawkers that has occupied every possible, as I said, footpaths and street corners. Well, the government recently has been saying, and it has been shifting its dates, of course, saying that, yes, they will be relocating 200 to 300 hawkers, especially from the Kandai-Lad areas, to designated hawking spaces. But till date, this has not come to light, or it has not seen the light of the day, though the dates keeps on getting shifted. The question that we ask today is, while livelihood is important, but does this justify anyone starting a hawking business in Shillong in almost every possible footpath and roadside, completely disregarding pedestrians' safety or even their own safety? While the government is actively working on relocating hawkers to designated spaces based on their trade and identifying vending zones, but then will 200 to 300 hawkers being shifted, will that decongest and beautify the city of Shillong? What about the rest of the so many hawkers that are there? Have they agreed to shift? And yes, another question that we have is the government looking at some of the challenges that the hawkers themselves are facing in operating their daily business? Lack of government support, financial assistance, absence of management, marketing skills, etc. And finally, By combining regulatory measures, community engagements, and support of hawkers, can we create a harmonious coexistence that benefits both the citizens and the hawkers? These are some of the questions that we are going to raise in today's edition of Let's Talk. And joining us in the panel, to my extreme left, is Dr. Jenniefer Dkhar. She is an assistant professor, Department of English, St. Edmunds College, Shillong. She is very vocal about this issue. She's been writing on this issue since more than a decade in her various articles in newspapers. We are also being joined next to her by H Chen. He is the working president, Shillong Roadside Hawkers Association, or SRHA. And we also have a government representative here, Mr. F B Chyne, who is an executive engineer from the Shillong Municipal Board. And beside me is Bhogtoram Mawroh, member of Thma Rangli-Juki or TUR, an organization which is actively supporting the hawkers movement and their rights here in the city. So very warm welcome to each and every one of you to Let's Talk. Thank you very much for your time. Now, I would like to start right away with the first question, and I address it to H Chen, Ba Chen. Ba Chen, you're the working president of Shillong Roadside Hawkers Association.
Yes.
You know, as I said in my introduction, there are a lot of allegations against the hawkers that they have occupied almost every commercial area, especially market areas, so many hawkers blocking pedestrians' movements, etc., making it very difficult for the people, for the children, for many others also moving, almost occupied the whole footpath and whole roadside. What do you have to say in your defense? How do you defend yourself when these kind of allegations are addressed to you? To you I mean to all the hawkers of Shillong.
Thank you, madam, for that. Actually, I want to tell you that the Shillong roadside hawkers is only concentrate only in Place Bazaar area,
Okay.
marketplace. So with reference to the other areas, I'm not so much concerned about
Fine.
them. Because
Tell us
why?
about the
Our
Khandai
area
Yard
of
area.
operation is only in Place Bazaar.
Hmm.
Anyhow, when you look after going here and there, really it is a problem for the people who pass through.
Okay.
But what to say, how to do, it depends how the organization or the government do it for that, so that we can free from all this thing.
Okay. But you also, as a representative of the Hawkers Association, and because you are here on behalf of the hawkers there, you also share your concern that yes, it is a problem, and you would want a better alternative for yourself, for the hawkers. I come to you, Dr. Jenniefer. As I said, that you have been very concerned. You represent the citizenry of the state of, of Meghalaya, and especially in the urban conglomerate, because, as I said, there are a lot of inconvenience. There are people who are actually quite upset that hawkers are growing by leaps and bounds in every footpath, especially in the commercial areas, making a pedestrian's, life and quite difficult. What do you have to say?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's a topic of great concern, and I would like to start off by saying that I have been writing and expressing myself, been quite vocal about it, that there is a need, as much as we face a lot of inconvenience, which is growing by leaps and bounds. I have no personal vendetta against the hawkers. I really, empathize and I feel for them. But at the same time, as much as I feel for them, I also feel for myself and for my fellow citizens who are no longer in a position to actually make use of these footpaths or sidewalks and are forced to actually rub shoulders with the vehicles. So I strongly feel that there is a need for them to also be allowed to trade without any kind of restrictions or inhibitions. And for that, I think the government must do something so that they get a designated space where they can trade freely. It's about time that they should be provided a space for themselves so that they can actually carry out their business just as any other a tradesman or a business person.
Right. Okay. I just come to Mr. F B Chyne. Sir, you have come here from the Shillong Municipal Board. Why is it that the government wakes up so late? Why is it that that there are so many hawkers that is coming and doing business every single day, and now there are plans of relocating them? What was going on all these years?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. As you're aware, it's not that the government has woken up so late. We've been we've been trying to solve this problem for not many years. In fact, there's been litigations in the past in which we had gone head to head with the Hawkers Association, and eventually that litigation had been disposed of by the court. So and then the state has adopted the Central Act, and now as per the act, we are trying to solve the issues, try to put some regulations in place. First thing first, as per the Street Vending Act, we have to constitute a town vending committee, which has representations from the hawkers also. And in fact, Mr. H Chen here is also a member of the town vending committee. And in the town vending committee, we have had so far about 10 meetings. We have been discussing. Then the street vending scheme was also published by the state government, which spells out the procedures, some surveys to be conducted and all like that. We conducted the survey in December and January for the Shillong Municipal area. So we come up with a number of hawkers, and we have done the scrutiny also of their documents and everything. And we had come up with a certain number of hawkers who will be registered with the town vending committee.
Right.
Once that is done, then as at present, we are in the process of preparing the street vending plan. In fact, we just had one meeting in the town vending committee discussing about the first the proposal for the street vending plan and like that. So when the town vending committee has recommended the street vending plan, then we will start the relocation of we will be allotting them vending space and that. So you see, we had to follow the procedure as per the law of the.
All right. I'll come back to you once again. I bring in Bhogto here in this discussion right now. You are very, very vocal advocate of this issue. And in fact, Tur has gone and won this case also. When there is a central law, why was there a need for the state law, right? What made you go to the, take up this?
See, the issue is this, and I think it's very important to understand that the issue that Jenniefer said is not a unique issue. It's been there all over the country, right? Okay. The issue about the hawkers occupying footpaths and the kind of inconveniences that they may have created. Mm-hmm. So that is there. That's why the Supreme Court in 2010 said that we need to have a central law. Okay. Because what was happening all the time was there was no law, and the state government was not coming up with any law. So therefore the Supreme Court had to come and say, you know what, now it's enough, have a law. Mm-hmm. And when the law was brought out in 2014, it was in March. So the law, if you look at the law, and we can talk about the law also, it is a very good law. Okay. It is a very good law. It's a very pro-livelihood law. It's also it talks about regulation, right? But what did the government of Meghalaya do? They did, because the law was made on a concurrent list. So basically, if you have two laws, state law and central law, the central law gets precedence over it. Mm-hmm. Now what happened was that since you already had a central law, why did you bring a state law? Mm-hmm. That was 10 years ago. So Jenniefer is very angry, I can understand. You should go and talk to Kong Ampring, because she was part of the government at that time, Muda. We had gone to meet her during this whole issue was going on. You have talked to the previous government, the Congress government. Why did they commit an illegality? Why they did not bring a central law in the first place itself? Because that also is their problem. You cannot just talk about the hawkers. You also have to hold responsible the people who brought out the illegality. We fought, we had dharna, we had protests all over the place, and we won the case. But the case should have been won long time ago. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't illegality. Now, we talk about the hawker, who is a hawker, who's a street vendor, and then we have to talk about also in terms of how they are defined. If you look at the definition of a street vendor, they are people who are sitting on the street lane, sidewalk, footpath, pavement, public space, public park. Basically, you're talking about people occupying, let's say, footpath. That is why they are hawker. That is why, because they occupy footpath, they occupy pavement. That is the only. That's the reason why they are called street vendors. And the act of the central government is basically called Protection of Livelihood and Regulation of Street Vending. So you have to protect livelihood. So whatever the government tries to do now, even today the meeting was there, but the TVC that is right now, it's not completely legal because you don't have elected members from the hawkers. You have nominated members. First of all, you did the survey, which is going to be finished very soon. When the survey is done, you make electoral roll. You have the election within that to see who are the genuine members, hawkers who are going to be part of that TVC. Then they can make the vending plan. Now you cannot have a vending plan without having a TVC being fully constituted because that is not legal right now. So the relocation part, how should you do relocation? There's a provision for that. And we can talk about it maybe a little bit later. But in the Central Act, how you can relocate people, what are the principles is to be followed. You cannot just wake up one day and say, this need to be gone. No. Shillong is not special. Meghalaya is not special. The same problem exists everywhere. That's why you have the central law, which applies throughout the entire country. You have to follow that. So whatever now happens, and we have fought very long and very hard. I mean, there are so many heartbreaking stories of the hawkers. I mean, there was a story I remember as a Kong carrying her baby, going to the court.
Yeah, it is a...
And then you know what she found out?
Mm.
The people had told her you have to go to the court because the case against you. And the Kong, when they were carrying her baby on the back, he found out, the court hasn't called her. Imagine. And there are people, if you look at the stories, there are children, young children growing up and saying, you know what? When they see any new people, they say, oh no, I'm so scared. That must be a municipal person. Okay. There are children growing up with that kind of story. So
absolutely.
There's also a human part to it.
Yeah. I do understand this. What is your quick defense, Mr. Chyne, for this?
So, see, it's like when town vending committee was constituted, we had to constitute it because at that point of time, the street vendors were not surveyed. They were not willing to be surveyed in the first place. And then, after the adoption of Central Act, after the public notification of the street vending schemes, then we constituted the provisional town vending committee, as he says, in which we had asked these vendors associations to nominate the members because we cannot hold elections because at that point of time we don't know who the genuine street vendors are.
Okay.
So the provisional town vending committee conducted the survey, which was completed for the municipal area. We had even publish a notice also in which vendors can submit their claims or objections for inclusion in the list or to object if anybody who's not genuine is included in the list. So that procedure has been followed through.
Okay.
That procedure has been followed through. It's just now because of the pressing need to regulate the street vending, so we thought we'll come up first with a street vending plan. And that's when we had all these meetings. Okay. As you mentioned, we had a meeting today also with that.
And we have sent a letter to you also. That's illegal. We have a vending law right now. You cannot do that.
Yes.
Okay. So my question once again is to you, Chyne. The minister has been giving dates after dates of relocation. Why so many dates are coming? I mean, from Feb to July, now in November again. I wonder if it will also happen in November, really. What is taking the government so much of time?
No, like I said, we had to follow a process. We have to follow a certain procedure as laid down the law. Okay, we cannot just, even on our part also. Of course, we are very optimistic that the town vending committee will agree to the street vending plan or that.
But the plan so far is to remove only 200 to 300 hawkers. What about the rest of them? There are so many thousands of them.
We are taking it in phases.
Okay.
The government is planning to take it in phases. As of now, because the identification of vending areas in other places, we are still not yet able to identify the vending zones. Okay, so we are taking only the most difficult part, which is Kandailat area. In fact, Kandailat area has got the most of street vendors.
It will be through by November, as has just recently been told by the minister. With Kandailat?
We're going to have another meeting with TVC, and as I said, from one association of street vendors also, they've raised objection to this. So, in fact, we are going to discuss again on the issue. In fact, in the meeting, we told them that we will have again once because we just received their objections.
Okay.
So we'll discuss on that.
Okay. So how do you know these objections will not come later when you actually want to shift them? So I come to to Mr. Chen once again. Chen, you tell me, when the actual shifting takes place, will the hawkers really shift to another place, to the designated space that they will be given? What is your stance on this?
It's very difficult because why? if the area is near the market,
Okay.
they may
Agree.
willing to go. They may
Okay.
agree.
Okay.
But if it is a little bit far from the market, I am very, very doubt that
Doubtful.
they will go on.
So,
Because
Bhakto, what
especially
do you,
all of
yeah,
them, they want to be
near
in
the market.
area.
Obviously, they want to catch the market, the public to sell. They are making their livelihood. Bhogtoram, tell me, when the actual shifting will take place, do you see a problem here happening?
Like you cannot ship them right now because under the survey is done, under licenses have been given, you cannot
Yeah.
ship anyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's say if you want to relocate them, ship them, whatever you call them, there are many principles out here. Okay, for example, you have to take the vendors into concept you have to discuss with them. Also, affected vendors, this is from the act itself,
Okay.
shall be relocated so as to improve the livelihood and standards of living, or at least to restore them in real terms to pre-evicted levels. So basically, if you want to relocate them right now, do a survey of the vendors, ask them how much is their turnover, how much is their income right now, and then do a survey of the area you want to put them there, based on the, let's say, from the footfall out there, how much income are they going to get when they go there. Once you have done that, then you can relocate them because people then will not lose their income. But if, for example, you do a study like that, unless you do the study, and then unless you find out whether or not the potential earning is going to be equal or more than that, why would people move?
Exactly.
It is in the
Quick word
I
from you.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
So you have to do first a
principle.
study.
I agree
Bring a
with that
study out.
principle because it is as per the law.
Yeah.
And we, even us also, even the government also cannot go beyond the law. So we do agree with that principle. So even like when we identify these vending zones, we had kept that principle in mind. It's not that we are taking them far away. Like for example, we're not taking vendors from Kandailat away to say Moyong or like that.
And why haven't all the vendors, many of them have not got even licenses, and every other day there is addition to them. How do you identify? How will you give the? How will you identify the genuine
If you
hawkers?
look at the Meghalaya street vending scheme, if you look at the Meghalaya street vending scheme, there are a process. After they've been surveyed, they will be registered. So now that a number of them have been registered, and they will be issued with a certificate of vending and with an allocation of space for them.
Okay.
So right now we have not even notify a vending zone.
Which are some of the vending areas that you have identified? Can you just, because
I think that
I
doesn't happen.
personally will not. Yeah. Which are some of the areas that you have identified?
Those areas now we cannot really say. For example, it's around Prisdar only. It's
Okay.
around Kandailat area only, and we are in a discussion state in the TBC.
Because November.
So as and when
November is just a few days away, actually.
I think ma'am, can I come here just
Yeah.
for a little moment?
Yeah.
Because I'm so sorry, ma'am, just for a little moment.
Yeah.
So in terms of what can be a vending zone, no vending zone. First of all, there is a concept of natural market.
Okay.
Natural market, a market where sellers and buyers have traditionally been congregated or for the sale of purchase of goods and services. That cannot be a no vending zone. Kandailat cannot be a no vending zone. Heritage market, a market which has been existing, where people have been sitting on the footpath for the last 50 years. No one can be evicted from that area. So, heritage market, natural market. Apart from these two areas, every other area can be no vending zone. But these two areas cannot be touched because it's a commercial
When you
area.
see it in the context of Shillong, which are the areas that falls between
Kandailat,
heritage and
like for now,
natural?
it has to be a vending zone because it's a natural market.
But we are talking that it will be a pedestrian zone.
So let pedestrians walk from there and buy the stuff. They can walk and then buy stuff. No?
Okay.
Is it that
I was just coming to you, Jennifer. The thing is that hawkers are there all over the country. Our roads are narrow. Our footpaths are extremely narrow, right? Hawkers are there in every place you go. You go to Delhi, you go to any other metropolitan city, you go even to fancy market, fancy bazaar in Guwahati, Pan Bazaar, etc. They're full of hawkers. Why are we blaming the hawkers for the lack of infrastructure that our city of Shillong has? Are they really to be blamed really here?
First, I would, before answering that question, I think I really appreciate the sentiments of Bhogtoram. I've read his article also on that very deeply, and I think it's so well researched. Definitions have been given very clearly, and I thank him for that. As far as he had mentioned, maybe if you could just talk to Anne Perrine or anybody. At a personal level, I think I do my bit all right? And but again, at a level of, as you had just mentioned, local, the natural market, heritage market, they cannot be evicted.
Yeah.
They're increasing by leaps and bounds,
Mm.
whether it's natural market or heritage market at Yodo or anything. But let us just take an example closer home where we are located now, the civil hospital.
Yes.
They are increasing by the day. All right, whether we like it or we love it.
In
or
fact,
we
the
hate
whole
it.
pavement is
Exactly
covered.
The bus shed is no longer a bus shed.
No, absolutely not.
All
Yes.
It's not an eyesore for me.
Mm.
With due respect to H Chen,
Mm.
it's not an eyesore for me. But certainly, when I have to squeeze my way out of that place and rub shoulders of being
Hit
in
by-
awe
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you know how vehicles and two-wheelers move now.
Mm.
That gives me a sense of, as he says, if I can use this borrow his word again, anger. Because why should I actually be made to do that?
Because even a pedestrian has their rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as a hawker has a right to livelihood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, why should I be inconvenienced, all right, when I too have equal rights as them?
Yes.
I and with due respect again to Barkhan here, I think I have a lot to say about the government.
Exactly.
Because the government here is what we look up to. We choose our representatives so that they would answer to the difficulties that we may face. But these, I've been writing, I think, since 2012 or 2010. It's going to be 15 years. All that we are seeing are discussions after discussions and nothing. I would also like to add here that when Tur, I think, suggested, and I think it was Angela Rangar who had written that very nice article on Sweepers Lane, if they could be shifted elsewhere, that would be a most befitting area for to turn it to a vending zone. I was in great support of that because I understand, as H Chen says, we are not here trying to remove the hawkers so that we deprive them of their livelihoods. All that we want to do is then give them a space, as H Chen says, and in an area where we do not actually take away their livelihoods. Again, to just mention Bakhan, not to take them to Maoyong or somewhere. It really does not make sense.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So when there is a space that could be
Utilized.
why is the government taking so long?
Mm.
And in the midst of all this, see these, our elected representatives, they face none of these difficulties. For them, a no entry is also a go zone. And no parking, they park it just there. But it's
Very
the
true.
common people like you and I who actually face it. Hence the ire.
Mm.
But that does not mean that we shun them. We meet with a lot of their foul language we receive from them. And I have been a party to that. Because by any chance at Matran, if you go and you step into, what can you do? If you happen to step into their goods or their wares, even if you say, oh, Mokong, you would be hurled with anger. I understand their sentiments again, but I'm human at the end of the day. Why should I be shouted at? So that is where I feel.
And I come to Bachen once again. Bachen, there are hawkers which are sitting directly in front of a shop who has been doing business for years. The entry is totally blocked. Where the people is supposed to enter, say, a cloth shop or a departmental store, because the front is completely covered by a hawker. Isn't that a little unfair, really?
See, I'll tell you one thing. Actually, in the origin of I talk about Police Bazaar.
Okay, tell me about Police Bazaar only. Yes.
Police Bazaar, earlier there is only our organization, Shillong Roadside organization. We start in the year 1990. Again, we registered in 2000. There, at that time, most of our workers, vendor, most of them they are in the veranda on all the shop. But now, since just last 2-3 years, Again, another also
But
something.
I'm asking you about the fairness of this, because even this person who pays the municipal tax and who is legally supposed to run his business also, as much as he also has a livelihood, but his entry is totally blocked by the hawkers. There is a foul smell you cannot pass by. There is from fish to meat to every kind of, and everything, all the waste products is being thrown on the road. Quickly, you want to come in for this?
I mean, that's what.
I mean, doesn't a shopkeeper also has equal rights?
That's why you have to look at the law. What does law say? Like,
Does the law say that a
the
genuine shopkeeper
overcrowding-
should not be doing any
overcrowding is not
business?
the criteria.
Hmm.
Sanitary conditions are not a concern, because if you work together with them, especially sanitary conditions, right? Let's say, for example, you give hawkers a license and tell them, if you are selling something, let's say perishable, put a gown properly, and we'll come and check your place every now and then, so that you are selling safe and you are not throwing any garbage. We can work with that, because the hawkers were paying some amount of money in the past to municipal. I don't know, who to clean this. Somebody will come 20 rupees, every hawker will pay something like that.
But
No,
just answer me that question again, because this is a genuine, because some of the shopkeepers have told me to raise this, because they are not being able to do business because
So when
their
you-
entry is blocked.
So when you have a regulation in place, you cannot have such a big space. You can't take such a big space. There will be a limit of how much space you can take, where you can sit. It's not on both sides.
That means
There
the
will be-
regulations are being flouted.
The regulation is not there because you don't have the law. You don't have the TVC till now. You have the provisional TVC.
So if
When
there's
you
no
have the-
regulation right now,
Right, that's it.
How do you address
Yeah,
the problem?
so that is what,
So the problem-
let's come to Mr. Chyne
Yeah,
again.
so the thing is
Why,
that-
as I said, why does the government have to wake up so late? Why is the area around civil hospital totally
See,
blocked?
Let's-
Why
let's,
hasn't the government
yes.
acted
Let's not
right
say
from
that-
before?
Let's not say that the government has woken up so late.
No, but it
If
is
you-
blocked,
if you-
sir.
if
It
you
is
are-
totally
I
blocked, that
understand
area.
I understand that.
Mm.
But if you, I think we are all aware that prior to the litigation that happened and the High Court, the Honorable High Court of Meghalaya, prior to that, there has been quite a number of evictions and all, and that's what we have come to that conflict because of those evictions that had happened earlier in the past. Even first with the Shillong Roadside Hawkers Association, and then with the Progressive Hawkers Association. So the litigation also arose because of that, because we were trying to regulate. But as he said, prior to that there was no law.
There was no law.
Against hawkers. We just have the Municipal Act, which straight away prohibits vending, display of goods on the road or public space.
And a
for-
municipal
for-
vehicle would
yes.
come and just lift all their...
Yes.
That is also very, very
Because-
sad, actually.
Yes,
Yes.
it's very sad.
Mm.
I mean, many
That-
people
Yes.
never got back the stuff.
Yes, yes,
that
yes.
was
yes.
a law then.
Yeah.
It was a law that we just
And
followed.
they are poor
See,
people at the end of the day.
I mean, so many sad stories you have to know about
Yes,
that.
at that point of time, there was just a Municipal Act. There was no Street Vending Act. It was just a Municipal Act, which straight away prohibits. It's just one paragraph which straight away prohibits display of goods on the road. And if anyone does that, he's liable to be evicted and his goods confiscated. So we just, again, that point of time also, we're just following the law. Okay, it's only after the Street Vending Act came into place, that's when we had to follow certain procedures. For quite a number of years, has been a litigation which we couldn't do anything. We were in conflict. The state government says we have our own act. They say that we have a central act, so why should we do this thing? Later, even that also had come to an end, in which the state government on its own decides to repeal the state act and adopt the central act.
Right.
Based on which, then we notify the schemes as per the act, we notify the street vending schemes as per the act, and the schemes lay down the procedures for survey, for issue of certificate of vending, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
we are-
is all
that's what-
very good
so
points
we-
that you are
we-
saying,
yes,
actually.
So we just
Yeah.
have to follow the process.
Mm.
See, it's not just that it can be solved overnight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not that we have to go through a process of discussion, and street vendors are the main stakeholders in the town vending committee. They are made as members of the town vending committee, and so we have to follow through a series of discussion, and we have to come to a consensus that okay, this is what we will do. This is the regulation that we will put in place.
Okay.
This will be a vending zone. This will be a non-vending zone.
It will happen.
It has to happen.
Yeah,
That
it
way.
will happen. It will
Yes.
happen. It will happen.
Quickly, I before we go for a very short break, quickly, I also want to bring the economic, problem of this. I'll address this both to Jennifer and to Bhogtoram. Why do the poor people even need to come? Well, if they would have had, markets there, they need not bring out their wares actually. So there is an economic side dimension of the hawkers too. right? And so your quick
urban area will always have a greater demand, greater purchasing power.
Mhm.
People will always come to urban areas to sell their goods because that's how it's supposed to be. Rural area, how many people can buy the goods?
Okay.
So I mean, like, it's
Yeah.
logical. That's
Yeah.
how urban areas function.
Okay.
They attract
Jennifer,
people.
do you think if the government would have played a more different kind of a mechanism and, lifted their wares and their produce at a higher price, they need not have to come to this city and displayed all their wares and stuffs in the footpaths at all?
To a certain extent, yes. But I think we'll still have a number of people who would want to. I think it's Tur who's actually promoting these local markets, bringing in the goods. So I think they will still make their presence felt at some point in time. But I don't know if I can raise this question here at this point in time, just before you move into a break.
Yeah.
I did try, to speak to a few while waiting for a cab or something. So I did try to ask them that why is it that you try to set up shop, and wait for the municipal truck to come, take up your wares, and as Bhogtoram says,
Never
yes, there
return
are
back.
sad stories behind it. I've seen them crying and howling and yelling
Yes.
and actually crying out loud because they paid a lot to buy those wares of theirs.
And they are not rich people.
Exactly.
They're rich people.
So when you ask them why can't you look for something else? First, they lack education,
Right.
so there is no way by which they could look. But at the
Skill
same time,
development.
even if you have education, we do not have too many jobs. So they have their own difficulties, to share.
That is what I said. There's an economic
Yeah,
dimension to the whole
exactly.
problem, actually.
Exactly.
Okay, so we will come back. We'll just go in for a very short break, a 2 minutes break, or even less than that. When we come, we will look for solutions because we are raising these issues so that we can look for, the way ahead. And of course, all of you are here. So, well, viewers, you have just heard this discussion so far. We are just going in for a very short break. Do stay with us and join in as we now talk to our panelists for what is the way ahead for this problem that Shillong is facing right in front of us. Welcome back to Let's Talk, a presentation by the Shillong Times Group. And today we are discussing, is there a way out to the burgeoning problem of hawkers in the city of Shillong? So, well, we have discussed quite a bit so far, as much as we could. We have just roughly another 5 to 7 minutes to wind up this program. We are looking for solutions. I come to you once again, Chen. What is your solution? What do you think should be done so that this problem, there can be a mutual coexistence between the citizens, their rights, and the hawkers' rights as well, livelihood rights?
You see, the thing is, this is depend only in the government.
Okay.
If the government is willing to give a space to where to shift them, then that is a very, very good idea. But if you go on and discuss about each and everything, meet the
You mean to say so far only discussions is going on?
it will take a very, very long time for that.
Mhm.
The good idea is only the government will start to find out a place where we can do then start a market, then the only thing we can.
No, but
I
that,
would,
that time,
uh,
if they give you a place, also you might again raise an
Yeah, I
objection
would
saying that that is
disagree.
not
No,
a
I would
very
disagree
viable
with
place for
Martin on
me.
that because like
Yeah.
if you say like it's easier to set like not really, easier said than done like to say find a place, relocate us there
Mm.
because
No, but the
like,
problem
like,
is, will they even shift
that's what,
to that
that's
place?
What,
Yeah.
that's what I'm coming to that.
Mm.
So like, but as you can see, like within the market area where the footfall, where that, as he mentions, natural market, heritage market, where is the space there in the first place? Okay, if you look for a vacant land in the possession of the government, that would be the outskirts, and who would go there?
That is also a very,
Okay.
very good point, actually.
See, for example, like you must have heard it must have come out in the papers, in the media also in the past. We're even thinking of sacrificing our parking space,
Mhm.
okay, to put some hawkers there.
But that would also be another problem because,
That's
the
what-
congestion
that's
in the
what-
city,
that's what- so,
traffic
Exactly.
is because
So
of
you
lack
see,
of
like,
parking space.
yeah, you said about congestion. So you see here we've always been saying, people have always been saying it's a hawker's problem, street vending problem. The problem here is congestion,
Mhm.
and street vending and regulation of hawkers and street vending is actually part of the solution to solve congestion.
Mm.
So you see, like we have to make a balance. So as he said, like to find a space, where's the space in the first place?
You being a government representative, if you
That's
say
what-
that there is no
that's
space,
what-
then
no.
this is going in very badly, because you have to tell us that there is space.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's why we have
You're putting him under pressure.
Yeah, no, because he has to face it, because he has come here as a government
It's
representative,
It's all right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can take pressure
Mhm.
to a certain extent.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's why you see, like we try to identify some vending locations
Mm.
within the city, within the market area, nearby to the market area, where there won't be much of a loss of livelihood for the hawkers,
Okay.
for the street vendors.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
and these vending locations, we have to get it recommended by the town vending committee, in which they are also members. We are discussing with them.
Mm.
We're showing them this is the place, this is the place, this is the place. Can we all shift there? We're trying to do this thing. But we've just had just a first.
So what has been the reaction so
Yeah.
far?
So the reactions, like as people are naturally adapt. They're scared of changes.
That fear.
That fear of it.
No, but if you
If I
show
ask
them a
you-
place in Moyong, nobody will want to go
Of
there,
course,
right?
of
Yeah.
course, I agree with
Mm,
that. That's
mm.
what I said in the first earlier also, that we cannot shift them there. We
Mhm.
cannot take a vendor from Police Bazaar, from Kataila
Yeah.
to far away place like Moyong or
Mm.
something like that.
Mm.
Okay, we're trying to relocate them within the vicinity, within the market area. Okay, and that's what we are discussing with them. But as I said, people fear changes. The street vendors, of course, who wouldn't fear, loss of livelihood. If I ask you to shift like from here and from the road, and then
Yeah, I understand
show
that
them
totally,
just a
yeah.
little like.
No, but is the
40,
government
40,
serious about
40.
this whole issue actually?
Of
The
course.
problem, that's my question.
Because-
Is the government really, really serious and looking for solutions? It's due time, right? I mean,
Yes.
beautification and all that is fine. Decongestion is fine, but let it not remain only in the talk, in the
Yes,
discussion
in fact,
level.
in fact,
Action is what
in
is
the
required.
last, in the last, since the start of, of the second half of last year, till now, like we have had so many discussions about solving this issue.
Mhm.
As you said also, like our honorable ministers have been giving dates.
Right.
And all, they were also very keen, very concerned about this.
Okay.
They're very keen to solve this.
Okay,
That's why we keep on giving timelines to ourselves.
Right.
That we should complete
Right.
this process by this, should complete this other process by this date, like that. But then again, like why those dates keep changing? Because we have to get the consensus of the town vending committee. We have to
Mhm.
get the consent of the stakeholders.
right. Yes, you have to take all the stakeholders in board.
Yes.
Jennifer, what I understand is that, the government seems to be serious. They are having a lot of discussions, right? But action is what is required. But yes, the minister himself, is dealing and he has given the date. But, what kind of mechanism is required for, to address this problem in a judicious manner so that, and in a more humane manner as well? Quickly, as your concluding comments.
I feel that, as you say now, with smart city, we're talking about smart city. Is that as important as dealing with the problem of hawkers? I think the need of the hour is to address this concern because it concerns livelihood of the poor. And if the government is actually really very serious about it, and if they're looking for shifting the hawkers to a marketplace, and I think if they can work a little bit faster with relocating the people from the sweepers lane, I don't know, to a certain extent, I feel the hawkers would want to be near the marketplace. As it is, we see a number of street vendors around that area. So you already have one space. Why is it taking so long?
Exactly. Okay, quickly, Bhogtoram, as what kind of emancipatory approach is required really to solve this problem once and for all? Enough of discussion, but to act now.
Like coming with Jennifer, she said that she's been writing about this for the last 15 years, right?
Almost,
The
yeah.
city has not collapsed in the last 15 years. It's still there, which means that yes, the problem was there. It is there now also, but it will not collapse. But now the good thing is this, is that Sir is with us here, and they have accepted the central law, and we're working together now. Yeah, there are some issues have to be solved. Like, for example, the provisional TBC has to be made regularized by having elections and all those things, right? And also beautification part. Imagine, like, I have been to Bangkok. I just love the street food out there. And I think there's this reel also which is going around about the Shillong street food. People enjoy that. Imagine that, say you think that this is Bangkok and make people wear good dresses, maybe a little more clean.
I do see certain changes in Police Bazaar where they're using gloves now, and it seems it is a little bit more clean.
Yeah. I mean, also the whole point is if you work together with them and with them, for example, so based on the law, do whatever based on the law, and the law is not unfair to anyone. Right? Because the market is a place where people are going to go and buy stuff, therefore they have to be there. But if you work together, we can define, the timing, how many people can sit based on the carrying capacity. Right? How many people can sit there? How big can your sizes be? So all that can happen. And for many years, we never had the discussion, sir. But now we're having it. So very grateful for sir about that. And actually, yes, now I think if we work properly, next year, maybe first few months,
by this time,
I think we'll be done. Because then the list will be done. People will get the licenses. Okay. So people will be not scared anymore. Okay, I will lose my license. I will not be able to vend. At the same time, they will have the TBC. By elected members of the hawkers, not H Chen, not me.
Is tour also playing a role of, engaging in the sense, creating awareness among the hawkers also, and, taking their fear out of their minds, because they're at the end of the day poor, uneducated people.
No, they are not. I would like to say, they are very resilient, smart people who have been there fighting.
In the sense, they may not be aware of every law that is there.
They know. For example, like today when you call me, in fact, actually, we wanted a hawker, the president of our association, to be here. But because he can't speak in English, and I think you will have a Khasi program very soon, you can talk to him and tell you about the law.
You're representing him. It's okay.
It's okay. But for example, so when you talk to them, you realize these people know a lot.
Right.
They've been there. So take together with them because they also are citizens of the state. And I think with Sir's help, once we have a TBC, legal TBC, for example, elected members, we'll have the plan very soon. And then after that, we can have negotiations. And then once you have the regulations, sir, new people have to apply for a license. They cannot just go and sit anywhere. So that solves the problem. But when you don't have a law, so you have finish your survey, give the licenses, and have a TBC, have an election, and have the vending plan. And anybody new coming in has to get a permission from the TBC. So your new people will not be able to come so easily.
Yes.
But if you're not going to finish this process now, which has taken 10 years, then this will go on and on.
Yeah, right. So we need a little bit more hand-holding, a little bit more seriousness of the matter. The government is working towards it, and along with all the stakeholders, I think as we have all agreed, and what Bhogtoram has also said, that, by this time, probably next year, things would be better. Right, with the support of every stakeholder and the people. Till then, the general public will have to just wait and be a little bit more patient. So on that note, I thank each one of you for coming to the studios and discussing this problem. And well, for all the viewers who have joined in, thank you very much for your participation. Also, do leave your comments and your feedbacks also. And until next time, when we come back with another issue, from all of us here, it's goodbye.